Amazing. All right, cool. So before we get started, obviously we're live streaming this in our Lead from Within Facebook group, and so the reason why we wanted to do this is because we wanted to make this conversation engaging. We wanted to engage with you guys, and we want to have people join live so they can ask questions and really interact with Jin and myself. So glad that you are here, especially even if you're in the UK. I guess most of Europe is in lockdown right now, which is
not much
else. Nothing better to do than listen.
Yeah, nothing else to
do. All right, cool. Let's just get started. I think we've got a few people that join live. Amazing. So I don't want to be talking too much today. Jen is going to be doing.
That means I have to.
Yeah, Jen, you're going to have to do a lot of talking today. But before we jump into the conversation today, I guess I can introduce you briefly to Jin. So Jaineel is someone I work with as a pharmacist. I guess I was a pharmacist, and I think you were training at the time, wasn't it, at St George's Hospital in South London. And so that's how we both know each other. And then obviously, I left the hospital and worked elsewhere in the pharmaceutical industry, and Jin continued training there and working there. And a few years later, when I was doing my thing and doing, building Thriving Scholar, which I still am, but early in my days, Jin reached out to me, and we got talking, and that led to us working together. And we've been working together for about 18 months now, over a year and a half, maybe coming up to 2 years. It's what a journey it's been, and that journey we're going to go into more in this conversation. But it's been such an honor to work with you, Jin, and and now you're even part of the Thriving Scholar team, and so that's even more exciting, and there's so much to come. So before let's just slow down and talk about that. So I guess first of all, maybe if you can give a brief intro in terms of who you are, what you do. I mean, a lot of people join live know this. Hey Yaz.
Hey Yaz.
Her enthusiastic hey. Cool. Yeah, I'll leave over to you, Ginal. Maybe just give a brief intro in terms of who you are, what you do, and your background.
Yeah, I am. So my name is Jaineel. So I basically am a pharmacist, and I work as a pharmacist within the hospital. And I kind of got into personal growth, as Jaineel mentioned, about coming up to 2 years now, and really kind of working on myself in the background, as well as doing my pharmacy bits as well. So it's kind of been my job and what I do. And it's been a long journey, but an exciting one for sure. But yeah.
And maybe just describe how were you at university, and the obviously you went down a very similar route to me in terms of academia. Went to university, got a degree, got a job. How typically back then when you were kind of at uni and doing all that stuff, how would you describe yourself back then?
I'd probably describe myself a bit closed-minded, I guess, challenge my beliefs as well. But as I kind of went from school to uni to college, to uni, in a professional job, I felt lost, to be fair. So that's who I kind of was, a bit lost. And I felt I could give more, but I was also in a job which was so I loved it. With being a pharmacist and helping, and it was really I just loved it, and I still do. I learned so much throughout my kind of education system, but I think deep down I just felt like I could give so much more. I didn't know what that was, but I could give so much more. So at that time I was probably a bit closed-minded, as in I didn't really know what was possible for me at all, and still I continue to learn more, but I didn't know what was possible for sure. And as I learned more and more within this kind of side, things opened up for me in different ways. And
And from what I remember of you back then, you're quite a determined academic, but you always wanted to do well. You love learning. I remember and I guess yeah, that's always been in you, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
that.
just always learning, and just I felt like I was just always reading some books or this book in terms of like academic books, trying to be the best pharmacist I can be, and continually striving. I was determined to excel in my career,
Mm,
um, and do be the best I can be in my career and push myself further and further. And that's always in me. I've always wanted to kind of progress, and achieve.
yeah. And from what I know as well, like you really wanted to, you made your dream happen. Like you wanted to go into this role, have this career, which similar to me, really, like we had this vision, and we made it happen. Um,
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
you were doing, you are still, really successful at what you do, and you're really good at what you do. Um, but talk to us more. Hey Trish, good to have you here. Talk to us more about, I guess, you went traveling. What was it?
Changes it for everyone. I feel like it changed it for me in like a cliche way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talk to me about more like, because you were actually loving your job, and you were
Yeah,
even.
and it was a job. Yeah, I think before I went, I was in a job and I loved it. And I was aspiring to the specific role that I'm in now. That was a job that I was aspiring to be. That's what I classified as what I wanted to achieve in my job.
Yeah,
Um, and that's fortunate of, and grateful enough to be in that job right now. Um, but before then, I had sat, I guess, so many exams within pharmacy. I was studying so much. I was working day in, day out, doing night shifts, doing loads of like reading. And it came to a point where I thought, okay, my last exam, I'm just gonna go traveling. And I didn't really know what that was gonna hold for me. But the last one, I felt like that was probably 8 years of really from uni to becoming a pharmacist and doing like other
mm,
studies behind it. I thought, let me just go away to travel. Went away to travel, and lucky enough, I was away to travel for a year. And
yeah,
as they say, you find yourself a little. And I thought, that won't happen. And it's not like I find myself, but I just realized what was important to me in my life. And I think what is important, especially in this 24/7 world, we need to be on all the time. And it's just a world we live in now, we have to always be on. And I felt when I was traveling, I could actually really turn off, in a way that wasn't I thought was possible in a way. And we're always like turned on to kind of like, we always have to be on to kind of perform at work or perform at home or whatever you need to strive for. You always just have to be on, I guess. And I think traveling really made me kind of slow down, and realize what's important. And what really scared me genuinely was thinking I was going back, and is this the life that I wanted to live? Like, if I was 40 or 50, am I continually, genuinely just going to work, coming home, going to work, going home? And yeah, there's everything outside that, but was that true to myself? And was I really fulfilled? Even though I loved what I was doing, was I really fulfilled? And was I really giving what I could to myself and others? And the answer for me was no. And I think that's where it really came back, to this. And when I kind of reached out, is I came back feeling a bit lost, for sure. And yeah, I just thought I'd come back to the norm again. And I realized I love my job even more. But then I also, like, because I had a break from it. But then I also realized that if I was 50 and continually to do what I'm doing day in and day out in terms of not really focusing on myself, and I guess that's a job that I'm in at the moment within the NHS hospital. Every time you're, I guess, naturally focusing, elsewhere, within the pressures. But if I really focused on myself, what would be possible?
yeah.
And that I've doubted that, because I never thought like that. I thought, nah, I can't do anything. Like, what do you mean? People don't do that. Like, you doubt yourself. What would people think? But if I really slowed down to that, and I guess that's when I reached out, was when I was kind of lost and thinking, and I kind of just reached out thinking, I'll just have a conversation, see
Mm.
what happens. As in, I wasn't thinking anything of it, to be fair. I was just thinking of the conversation, and the couple conversations I had for me was so powerful. So yeah.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. And yeah, what's interesting is that you're someone who, because sometimes we hear so much stuff about, oh, quit your job and do amazing and start with this and all that, and like, you know, that's that's well and good for some people if they want to do that. But you're someone who actually enjoyed what you do,
Yeah.
and and that is amazing. But there still was felt something that there was kind of missing. And so, talk to me about like at that time when, because like things things are not bad. Like you're in a decent place.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You know what I mean? Like, and
Living an average life with all the problems,
know,
I would have called anything extraordinary at all. Like,
yeah, like this is not about, oh my god, I was down in the dumps and
yeah, I wasn't.
like thing like, both, we're privileged enough to live in London and have a roof over our heads. You're, living with parents at the time, and we had a great education. It's so much great. We've so much to be grateful for, right? So we know we're not here on being like, oh my god, but
Yeah, was literally that was probably the worst problem I had. Like I didn't have anything extra because I was living the average life with a good network around me, a good family and friends that can support me. But yeah, it's just that little thing in you, like that little niggle. But yeah.
But talk to me then, like at that time when I guess you said you were probably looking you're probably looking at my work, right? Or follow, because obviously we were connected from the pharmacy days when
Yeah.
practicing. You're probably thinking like, this dude, like, well, I wonder what he's
What is
doing.
he on about?
What is he posting online? What is this stuff about? What drug is he taking? Um, like, talk to me about your, like, where you were, like, in that place after you came out from traveling, and you were just curious about life. And I guess, did you really? I don't think you stopped. I don't think you really read any kind of personal development books at that time. Like,
No, actually didn't
where
read
were you?
books. Like only books I read was pharmacy books, and I think the last actual book I read was like what did they read in school? Like Of Mice and Men or something. But it
Yeah,
wasn't into personal growth, and to be honest, I didn't even know what that word was.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I didn't know anything in terms of what you really did. To be fair, um, I just saw that you had sent a message saying, "Oh, do you want to chat?" And I was kind of open to a chat. So I was like, "Oh, let me just DM him and see." But really, I didn't really know what it was at all. From what I saw, was I saw things at a surface level. I saw things in terms of just kind of Instagram quotes and stuff like that, kind of surface level stuff. That's what I saw. And during Instagram at that time, that's what I saw. Everything was kind of surface levels. It was quotes. It was this, that. Didn't really know what it meant. And the other side I saw of it was probably like kind of motivational speakers and stuff. And that didn't really sit well with me, to be fair.
Yeah.
I personally, I couldn't really connect with that. I couldn't, really connect with it and see the authentic side of it. And that's just personally for me. So really, I didn't really know what it was, but I saw those two sides within whatever I saw on Instagram in that line of things. So yeah.
So I guess at that time you didn't really try anything out. Like you
No, just wondering
open minded. Like, you're just
what you
curious.
had to offer when you said
What is
we
this
can have a
dude doing?
conversation. That
Yeah.
was literally all I was thinking. And yeah, within those things.
I don't remember how we. Did I reach out to you, or did you?
No, I think I did. I think you had said, oh, there was DM me if you want like a conversation or something. Like if you're feeling feeling something, I must have felt that thing, whatever it was.
You must have connected with something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that we did, because look where we're at now. Like, how amazing how this world works.
Yeah, definitely.
So cool. Like, so say for someone like right now, right? I'm kind of thinking, because now you've been in this space with me, and you for in a year and a half, maybe 2 years. For someone who is watching our work at Thriving Scholar, and like they see transformations, they see coaching, they see all this stuff. Like, how did you view that stuff back then? And if you were to, firstly, how did you view it? Secondly, if someone is right now thinking, okay, I don't really know what these two do, or what this is about, is this just another rah kind of thing? Like, how would you describe it to them? So I think that's two questions there.
Yeah. Before, to be honest, I didn't know what it was. I didn't really have people in my network that I was really connected to that I would know. So the word coaching, to be fair, I didn't really know what it was. From far as I could see, it could be like a coach within like a PT or something. Like, I had no idea. The closest thing I could see to within this field was what I was saying about surface level kind of quotes, like inspirational stuff, and then a bit of motivational stuff. Surface level, that's what I could see personally. I didn't know what coaching meant. I'm probably at that time, even personal growth, I didn't really know fully what it meant. I just put two words together and thought, yeah, personal growth sounds pretty good. But to be fair, I didn't know. So yeah, now within this space, I should for sure know a lot more. Well, I should also know a lot more. But yeah, and it's kind of, for me, changed it with the fact that it's not surface level, it's deeper stuff that I never thought was possible. And yeah, it's deep level within yourself, and kind of challenging stuff is challenging. I remember when I first kind of got into it, it was challenging for me for sure. And it was such a journey because I was thinking about stuff that I never think about before. And I was then going into conversations with family and friends, which was quite difficult for me at the start, because I was challenging my own thoughts and thinking and questioning other people's conversations in my head. And I was thinking, oh, what is right, what is wrong? And I was really overwhelmed with all the information for sure. But really, when I realized this is more of a lifestyle rather than me reading every single book and trying to know information. And that's what I know. I know to read and retain and understand because of my pharmacy background and the education and stuff. So, but really this for me, I realize the more I just kind of, it's not about that, me reading to retain, to you kind of just live it as a lifestyle and it just comes on naturally. But at the start, I thought that was so challenging for me. So in terms of your question, what it is, it's really going deeper in various stuff. But for example, for me, it was like challenging my beliefs. And I didn't know that, like, that we don't know what we don't know. And there's such a big thing that we just don't know. And as those beliefs that were in me from school or the education, society, family, it was all in me that I didn't really know anything about. And really, when I tapped into it, I was like, wow, like I thought like this, and there's such a big world out there that I never thought. And that's changed it for me specifically as well.
I love what you said there. It's a way of living. It's a lifestyle. It's a
Yeah.
way of living. It's a way of being in the world. I love that. By the way, guys, those of you watching live, the reason I'm looking down sometimes, I'm looking at my phone to see, if there's any comments. So feel free to comment. Feel free to ask any questions that you may have, so that I can bring it to Jim's attention. Otherwise, I've got loads of questions. We could be here for 2 hours, but I'm just kind of picking on the ones which I think would be most impactful for everyone. So, okay, cool. So on this journey, then we reconnected. You reconnected, I guess. You started working with me. You joined one of my groups as well as started working with me one-to-one. What actually, I had a question here which I wanted to ask you. Like, where is it? Yeah. So maybe take us to a moment early in your journey of working with this work with me or Thriving Scholar, when you realized that the work that we were doing together was working for you.
Good question, actually.
Thanks.
Yeah. When I realized was, I think through this journey, there's been a few things, but I can kind of, the few things that come out to me is the impact I was having on others without knowing it. I think for me, and even the littlest things, just in conversation, like my day-to-day conversation, maybe at work, or not anything like great impact, but for me, that it's some sort of impact. And when it was so naturally done in terms of a conversation someone bringing to the table, that I didn't see myself, I think. And then when I really look back at that and reflected on that, I was like, why has that happened? Because I really have done nothing really, but it's probably the work that I was doing myself that was, this energy was coming out, and it was really attracting those around me. And I think really that when I realized the power of it, and the power of all of us individually we have to really do the work and make impact. I think even in the smallest of conversations, for me, it's the best. I think that's when I really felt this was something that, yeah, I wanted to kind of pursue more and more. And I think when I look back now, and even back then, I just look back at how much I achieved with knowing more about myself, and how much has changed in my mindset about things, which would never be possible at all. And I always think I wish I knew all this before, because if we all knew this and everything, it's not something about knowing, but if I just would think of the impact that we could all make in the world, for sure. And not even make an impact, and also living more aligned to your truth and your kind of being fulfilled. And that's all really what I would want to do, is be fulfilled and make and help others and make that impact. And I always say make people smile. But when I really look back at it, I think the dots kind of lined up for me. I could see when I look back that now I understand, and it's such a small amount of time, the impact I had within myself. It kind of made sense a lot. But when I was definitely looking forward, I didn't think it was possible, for sure. But when I look back at the last couple of months, and even before that, in a short amount of time, it makes sense to me. Yeah. So I think that's when I realized really what it was. And to me, it was about being patient, because I am so driven in every single way, and I really want to just achieve and progress. And what makes me happy is when I see progression. And for me, it was difficult because this is a long-term game. Like, it's not some like short-term thing or some short-term fix. There's no fix for this. It's not like there's something wrong, but it's just that long-term game. I realize I have to play this long-term game. And yeah, and I think being patient for me was one of the hardest things, for sure, because I just, like I said, just want to go 100 miles per hour and achieve and progress. And sometimes with this, you don't see this, and it's so minute, the progress sometimes, that you feel like, oh, let me just forget this now. And you just, that's how life is. Like, the progress is always so small in anything you do. Even if you want to go to the gym, like you're like want to like gain some muscles, the progress takes so long. By that time you look back and you're like, oh, it's just so, takes so long, you just feel like quitting. So yeah, for me, it was really to be patient with it. And now I look back, I'm like, I'm so glad I was so patient, and still I've got so much to learn and so much to give. But I could just see the progress that was made in such a small amount of time by me living more aligned with who I am and figuring that out. And I'm still figuring that out. I'm still figuring out, yeah, for myself. So yeah.
Love that. Amazing. I love what you said there about staying on the path and having patience. I was going to come on to that later on, more about the recent things that we've been doing together, but cool. I'm going to have a quick check, see if anyone's asked any questions. I don't think anyone has. Hope you guys are enjoying this conversation.
Yeah.
Let us know if you are, by the way. Just type in yes or no.
Yeah. And if you're not, and if I'm talking too much.
Cool. What's like, I guess most of our conversation has been quite serious, right? But has it all been serious? Or has it been like fun? Like, what's the most enjoyable thing that this path that you've been on, and you know, the group stuff that we've been doing together, or whether it be the coaching that we do? Like, what's been the most fun part of it? The most enjoyable.
I get it's but for me it's fun just generally, because it's a lifestyle. Like, I can't explain it. It's not like there's a specific part that makes it fun. It's a lifestyle I'm living, which is the fun part of it. Like, it's just the overall fun, because I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it's a lifestyle. It's not a specific point where I have fun. Like there's an amazing community of people that I get to meet and have conversations with, and that's just in itself fun, just meeting new people for sure. And really kind of just, I don't know, connecting and like vibing off each other. Like not everyone has these conversations, and it's difficult to find. Like for sure within like different people, my friends now, it's not everyone that I can have these conversations with, and that's just the way it is. We connect with different people, and for me that's fun because I just love meeting more people, and just having actual connection. But it's just a lot for me. It's just fun. Like it's just, yeah, there's not a specific part of it that is, I can say, that makes it fun. It's more me being able to live this lifestyle that as a whole for me is fun to continually do. So yeah, there's not
Cool.
I just find it fun, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. I love the answer. It's just because you're, what I'm seeing is because you're just living true to yourself, you're discovering more of yourself.
Yeah.
Or having this, you're around growth-minded people who are all kind of fairly positive in life and
And
not.
I definitely wasn't positive before. I tell you, I was probably like, I wasn't like, I'd probably be the pessimist for sure. And it's not like I'm just suddenly optimistic for sure. Like it's not like that. I just didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't think things were possible. I doubted that for sure. Like I just didn't think how much was possible if you worked at it and realized so much more about yourself. I think I doubted that so much, and I guess that is what's so fun about it as well, because now I just can continue to evolve without, there's doubts still come for sure, but it's no way as far as it was before, and I really know how to kind of manage and observe them.
Yeah, amazing. So I think let's just go a bit deeper now. Like, say for someone who is either professional like you in the workforce, who whatever profession they're in, someone working in a job, or someone who has a business and they're an entrepreneur, they're a business owner, but they feel a bit lost maybe, or they're not really living true to themselves. They're not really living life kind of aligned with their, I guess, purpose, I guess, if you want to call it. People who, if someone is kind of be like, you know what, like, I know this life is great, like I know and I get it, but I'm scared of what X, Y, and Z, or I'm a fear of like X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And then someone who typically like, yeah, like I just I don't have the energy. I just can't be asked to
Yeah.
to do this, play the long term game, and to do some work consistently. Like, what would you say to someone like that? What advice would you give to them? Not even advice. Like, what would you say to them?
Yeah. I think the first part is if it was someone that didn't know whether they saw this and they thought, oh, I was really happy and stuff and wanted to go into it, but wasn't sure, didn't want to. The best thing about it is just to kind of be curious. And for me, that's just so important. Just kind of be curious and have a conversation with whoever it is, like, and just learn more about it. And I'm not saying like read a whole book or something, just learn a little bit more and be curious about it. And in everyone's own time, they will want to learn how much they kind of feel they want to learn, but it's more to do with, just be curious and open-minded about it. And it was difficult for me because when I remember when I reached out, it's not like I knew what it was. I just saw this on the other side of Instagram pretty much. And I thought, oh, this is fun. Like, this, that, like, looks kind of fun, but I really didn't know too much. And what helped me, and I can only speak from experience, is just reaching out. And whoever that may be too, like, just asking questions, because you won't know without asking questions. And if for sure it might not be for you, you might not want to like even play the short-term game. For me, it's always been about the long-term game for sure, but it wasn't that initially. But it might you might not want to play any sort of game as such, but at least you realized yourself and that is not for you, and that's the best thing you can really do, I'd say. And someone that's kind of willing to playing the short-term game, for me, the short-term game is just, I don't know, I think initially when I was probably playing a short-term game at the start, for sure, because I really didn't know that the impact this could have in terms of me learning more about myself. And really, could I be asked to do it? Like at the start, it was so difficult because there's so much new information as such, and I just was like, you felt drowned, as you're just like drowning. Like I mentioned, because it was a lifestyle, now it's within my lifestyle, it's just so natural to me. Like it doesn't feel difficult in terms of it. So those that are playing the short-term game, like everyone to their own, like people want to play different games as such, but I think the long-term game was so powerful for me because it really gave me clarity. And the more and more I played the long-term game, and the more and more I kind of built up courage to do things, whatever that might be, it just made it build up clarity for the future even more. And the short-term game for me, it wouldn't have done that. I would have probably halted, and really probably just gone back to my old ways because I wasn't living that lifestyle that was natural to me. So yeah.
So you mentioned just now about clarity, right? Obviously, clarity is a constant process, but what, two things I really want to touch upon in a bit more detail, like what helped you find clarity on what it is that you really want to do in this world? So that's the one question. Now, the second question is, what really helped you overcome fears and act with courage?
Yeah.
In more courage, right? We all got fears. Like I have self-doubt, right? There's always
Yeah, for sure.
There's always like me and Ginal are still doing the work on ourselves. But what helped you find clarity, and what helped you overcome your own mind more and lead more courageously?
It's kind of boils down both of those points into one thing for me. But what really gave me clarity is just finding out what I kind of enjoyed and stuff like that, but really just taking, I know I always say it, but taking action, and we always say it's just to do what it is that was I thought was aligned to my truth, whatever that might be. Like I love football, so it could be playing football, for example, but just trying it out, because when I did it, I learned more and I gained more clarity when I did it. And that was, I could be trying out loads of things, but before I would be halting and not really doing that. I'll be thinking, oh, I like this or I like that, but I wouldn't be trying it out. I'd just be waiting essentially for someone to be like, oh yeah, let's do that. As in, it just wasn't becoming for me. I wouldn't be taking action at all. And I think that gave me clarity. It was just trying out different things according to what I kind of enjoyed, and the clarity. And still, I still don't have that for sure. But the more and more I try it out within, for example, now personal growth, as I do more and more, I am in it and try out more and more different things, I'm able to gain more clarity on different things, and not just around career, just also around life, and conversations. And more I have different kind of conversations, the more I'm able to understand what I kind of enjoy. And your second part, I forgot because I don't remember
Like
too much.
overcoming fears, or like just acting with more courage. Because right, like let's be honest, like
Yeah.
maybe just to give some context, like right now, Ginal is like over the weekend she ran a mastermind for from some of the people, actually some of you are live here. You've been hosting mastermind, you've been doing laser coaching calls within our group in the Lead from Within Accelerator, and I guess next year Project Kriya, which you'll be doing a lot of stuff for, hosting masterminds and all that kind of stuff. Like a year ago, that wouldn't even been maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but that would have been really scary for you.
Even like I'd say few months ago, to be fair. Like, not as scary as it was a year ago,
Yeah.
but I think a year ago would have made me scared, and a few months ago made me a bit uncomfortable for sure. But I think for me to actually do it, how I kind of, I don't know, kind of came over those kind of fears and those doubts is really understanding why I have those fears and doubts, and just understanding why I do. And what it really came down to was my own head, because no one was probably thinking about me at all. Like, let's be honest, like, it was just in my own head. No one was thinking anything. And when I really kind of realized that more and more, because I still have these doubts, and these doubts of what would someone think, or am I really better than someone else that I see? And there's doubts for sure come, but when I realize that I'm just making myself just go crazy with them, because no one else is thinking that, for sure. And people that are, it seems it's always the ones closest to you that think that, and the closest kind of family, the closest kind of friends, they kind of resist you more, rather than all these other random people that I'm thinking about, that they don't even know me and don't even probably bloody care, to be fair, because I'm no one really to them. But it's the ones that are closest to me. And yeah, for sure, I realize the ones that kind of resist the most kind of need you the most in their own way. And the more I can kind of, now it all kind of makes sense. I think I had to really go through that to kind of understand for sure. And now I'm able to give so much more, and they even know so much more. And I think, and yeah, it just kind of changed that for me for sure. But I think the doubts and fears kind of thing is realizing it just kind of comes from yourself. And to get over that, I really just had to pluck up the courage and take action to do whatever I wanted to do. And that kind of diminishes it, because for sure, when you realize you're progressing a little bit and it wasn't that bad, you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It was kind of in my head a little. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess one thing that we've been working a lot together on is understanding how our mind works,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, I love the brain. I love learning about that. And mindset for me is like everything that
Yeah.
that changes it for sure.
Yeah.
Mindset kind of work.
Yeah, that, and I think all fundamental change happens at a level of the mind. Like, everything is created in our own minds. We live this reality of, that we're living in the illusion of our own thinking.
Yeah.
That's when, especially what we use in our coaching, but also just our own understanding of psychology, that I guess both you and I are now going deeper into. Everything comes to, because if you can overcome that, you can create anything you want. You can, I love to put,
Yeah.
have it on my wall here. So when you let go of who you think you need to be, you'll discover who you really are.
Yeah, that is powerful. Yeah, for sure.
And so I think that's from your journey. I think, you've let go of this, the thinking. Obviously, this is a continual process.
Yeah, I still get it, but I can't believe, I sometimes can't believe it. Yeah, I was attached myself so much to this that would stop me from producing and stop me from really just like living me.
Mm.
And I find that's a sad thing about it. I stopped myself so much. And so yeah, just from just those thoughts in itself stopped me like massively. I couldn't explain.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And for me, like, even in my journey, that's allowed me to find clarity, because the clarity comes from within us. It's not going to come from our thinking. That's allowed you to tap into your own power and lead more courageously, because you're not succumbing to your own thinking, but you're just going out there and making things happen.
Yeah.
And ultimately, because of that, you've got a strong reason why you want to elevate your performance. And that's when we go into the energy stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, love that. Love this conversation. I'm just going to check on the Facebook group to make sure everyone's not falling asleep.
Mile.
Amazing. Oh, here we are. Got some. Yeah, Bilitis says traveling made me slow down. Actually, yeah, like, thanks for bringing that, Bilitis. How would you? we talk about slowing down a lot. Actually, two things. I'm getting inspired here now.
Yeah.
Number one, because people are probably fed up with me saying this in my content, slow it down, slow down. Okay.
Yeah.
So what does slowing down mean for you?
Mhm.
And also leading from within, what does that really mean for you? Two things.
That's good, actually. Now, what does it mean to me? So slow, I do it so much that I'm thinking, what does it mean? So for me, like slowing down is really is to really be slow down. I don't want to use the word slow down, but yeah, to really kind of sit with my thoughts, I think, for sure. And I can only do that when I'm constantly on the go, go, go. I just can't do it. And for me, slowing down is more about consciousness. And it's kind of linked. When I slow down, I'm kind of going away from the question, but when I slow down, I have a higher level of consciousness. So for me, it's about consciousness. And I'm able to do that when I really just take a step back. And I get it, like even it like there isn't sometimes times where I can just take a step back and really realize what I'm feeling and thinking, because I'm on the run all the time. I'm on the go. And that in itself is so, I realized how much I do that. And for me, slowing down was realizing that in itself, how much I do that. And then I couldn't really, I was just living the same kind of lifestyle. So yeah, it's the level of the consciousness that I'd say, for sure. And with a heightened consciousness, I realized my own thoughts, and what was kind of stopping me. And then it comes back to your beliefs as well, and challenging those, and it in a lot of things. And you realize how much from all those years that has kind of built up in you, and not bad or good, it's just the way it was, and really kind of challenging all that. So it gave me a heightened consciousness for sure, just by stepping back a little, with little things. But yeah, I won't go into too much about what I do to slow down, but yeah, it's more about that. And I think your second part, lead from within, yeah, the name, which I just love. For me, it's about yourself. So first, like the mindset, which I always go into, but kind of taking responsibility, and leading from within is from that consciousness, and taking responsibility, being in that you can kind of be better, live better if you really take responsibility and heighten your consciousness. And for that, that's like different people, but it's a process of continuing learning, for sure. Like I'm never gonna have learned everything, but a continual process about learning about myself, and with that I can be better for myself and others around me. But it's leading from within. It's within myself, it's within a level of the mindset, it's a level of consciousness, and really like the psychology of it, the physiology of it, within everything on myself, and realize that the power actually is within me to be able to again live better for myself and others, and make that impact. And yeah, and everyone can make an impact in their own way, for sure.
Cool. Amazing. Everyone's saying they're enjoying the conversation, which is great. Cool. Love what you said there. And even just on that topic, I was meant to ask you something, and it's just completely gone out of my head.
Mindset.
Actually, this is it. That's what. So some people will be, if someone, this is a valid point, which I think is a valid question. I think we get caught up in, especially in today's society, when we are marketed instant gratification, short term, as you mentioned earlier on, kind of short term gain, and we want things done quickly. Someone could say to you right now,
Yeah.
like, I get it, like you've done this for like nearly 2 years now. Like, you've been working with Jaineel, you've been working with Private Scholar. Yes, you're you're now part of this team, but you're also working in a job still that, you know, you know, you actually enjoy it, but
Mm.
um, you know, how come there's not been such, you know, maybe some external success, like nothing in your life externally from what other people can see maybe has changed a lot, right?
Mm.
What would you say to that?
Good question.
Because this is what I,
For me, it's change. It doesn't have, for me, it's just not about external. It's just about internal. It's just, people can say it hasn't, but for me, it's internally, it's changed like huge amounts that I cannot explain. And I just always wonder why before I probably wasn't ready to play this game, but why I didn't know so much about myself before. And so for me, internally, it's changed so much. And that when that changes internally, then I can produce it. For me, it doesn't come the other way around. I cannot, again, get gratification from other people and externally. And it's not about that. It's what I can kind of, for myself, internally learn and produce naturally. It just the way it works, like it just naturally, that energy kind of comes out, and you naturally in your life you have conversations and etc etc, but it's with that internal work. It's the external is just a byproduct of it, like naturally it's the way it works, like it just is. So I don't know, people can say that, but for me, I know this is forever a longer term game for me. So yeah.
that's what I really respect about you. Like, and I was going to comment this later on, but you know, you have since we've started, you know, since I've, I guess since I met you even before we started working together. I was going to say since I met you, but since we started working together, I've always like you've played the long term game. You have really trusted the process, and I really, really like respect you for that because you know, firstly, I don't take your trust in me and for granted, let alone trust in the process.
Yeah.
And you've always trusted, like you've just
Yeah.
stayed on the path to mastery. You've stayed on it, and even though things may people may say that actually people may see externally like nothing's changed. You as you said everything has changed for you.
Everything, yeah. In
And
terms, like I can, from the littlest things, even just day-to-day relationships, just in like naturally that has changed, but it's come from the internal work that has been done. um yeah, and it's like it wasn't easy in terms of I'm not patient person. It just is not really in me. I mean, patient in relationships and stuff like that, but not patient within like myself and the progress. Like
yeah,
I just I'm not patient in it. I just within I want to see it for myself. But that was difficult, and I knew I have to be so patient, like, and trust that process, like, because without it, it's just, yeah, for me it was just a short game for no reason, because it was lifestyle that I wanted to, yeah, to live and be better. Again, I keep saying it for myself and others, but that's all I kind of, the end game that I want to be.
yeah. I love what you said there. Even just now before, like you said, everything external is created from the internal. Like it's an inside out approach that we
Yeah.
do, and it's you know whether you want to create, you know whether you're watching this right now and you want to, you know, create an incredible business, you want to create better relationships, you want to create a better, um, I don't know, but you want to have better health. Everything comes from you first internally. Like there's nothing external that's not first created within
Yeah.
yourself. Um, and even like your journey, like, I'm just thinking like there's so much we can go into, but even recently, like the impact that you've had in your workplace, like during COVID, yeah, you work in A&E and the things are super busy. You're generally having an impact on people's lives, but even internally, like you like held workshops, everything that you learned with us, you were sharing with that with your team, the people that you lead in, you know, in your team, and you were impacting their lives, and that stuff is incredible. Like what you really would, and that's what I would class as leading from within. because if you didn't do that groundwork, if you didn't, do the work on you, you wouldn't have been able to share that during the times when the NHS needed you the
Needed
most.
it. Yeah.
You led by example, and you had the impact on these people's lives, and that is truly like,
Yeah, the impact you can have once you lead within, and that for me, it was just, I never would have done that before, that's for sure. Like but I was able to kind of, yeah, real just see what I could do kind of to help the situation as such, because I wouldn't be kind of emotionally intelligent to realize how much people, well, people weren't feeling great within the NHS at the time, but to really decide how I can help, and it wouldn't have come from any other way. So from what I learned, I was able to kind of, in that kind of time, remain a bit calm. And know we're back into the second wave, but kind of remain calm and kind of teach what I kind of knew, and what has helped me really, to kind of be calm and kind of like realize the situation we're in, a difficult one, but where I could kind of help others to kind of, lead themselves within as well.
yeah. And again, like, and another thing that you've been doing recently is, as you mentioned, you've been working with Thriving Scholar, you're working with me now, and doing so much for our community and our members, and that wouldn't have been possible without the long-term work for you.
Oh, no way, for sure.
And
Yeah.
you're already having, like, you've already impacted, like, there's people on this live right now whose lives you already impacted. And like, we were just having a conversation yesterday. Well, I think you were joined pretty, just a few minutes after we were talking about it during our training session. But they were saying how amazing you were in the mastermind, how much impact that you had in their lives. And I know that that's something that means a lot to you. And I'm super excited for you to be part of our team. And
Yeah, no,
this is amazing, because this is just the beginning.
it's just the beginning. And no, thank you so much, it really does mean so much to me. I should take compliments, well, I don't really, but it's just, I love just making an impact and seeing what is possible for others, because sometimes we don't see it within ourselves. We really don't know we don't see what's possible, and we don't see kind of our blind spots till someone else says to us, and realize that the potential they really have, and the power that everyone has.
Yeah.
So
And for someone who doesn't know, because I mean, you're also someone, like, I guess we're both scientists by background, but you love science.
yeah
You love bringing that to people. I love the philosophy part, and we both like the coaching part. Like, for someone who doesn't know, like, what is Thriving Scholar? What is it like? How? Because I'm immersed in this work. I've been so in the last 3-4 years or so, right? And so it's very easy for me to get in my own little bubble,
yeah
um, and think that everyone knows what this is about, like, or whatever. But really, that's not true, right? So you're someone who, you know, um, is newer to this than me, even though you're part of the bubble now
yeah
as
yeah
well. But how would you describe, for someone who's completely new to this kind of work, when you're new to us, new to Thriving Scholar, new to Partners Group, whoever, like, how would you do? What is Thriving Scholar to you? Like, what is the company about? What would you describe it? Because you're someone who's been through it as someone who's new to it, a client who's been part of the programs, coaching, all that kind of masterminding, and now you're part of it.
yeah
How would you describe it to someone? Because you've been through that journey.
I think it's kind of a little bit within the name. I'd say, to start out, it's being able to thrive. We need to learn so much, and it's a continual process, continuing to learn about yourself and everything else surrounded by it. But to really thrive in it, again, it comes down to the name we lead within as well. But understanding more about yourself, that consciousness, and being able to thrive in life in areas that we all want to, and in different areas. And it's learning about different things, people with different tools, things we can do that in different ways, whether it be like the psychology, the like physiology stuff about it, and whichever ways. But there's so many ways that can be done, and so many tools that can kind of help you raise that consciousness, and really kind of lead from within. And Thriving Scholar kind of helps bring that out, for sure. and bring out more what's your truth. And that's what's really about, living in line with who you really are and the impact that you want to make within yourself and others, like we all do. And that's why we all just want to flourish in life. That is pretty much what we are here for, and what we, if we really slow down to it, what we want to do is really just flourish in life. As simple as that. And whatever way that is, we individually just want to do that. And Thriving Scholar really has helped me. I can only talk from experience again, and the impact on others is really being able to flourish and finding that out, and gaining clarity continually on ways that we can all do that by living aligned with your truth. And I didn't really for sure know that before, because I didn't really know that. I thought I was living my truth. I thought I was living pretty fine, to be fair. There was no issue. I was living quite nice. Good people around me, like good, nice job, like it was good. But when I look back at it now, I probably definitely wasn't. And so now I'm continuing to, it's not like I'm there, but I realized that actually I probably wasn't.
Yeah, I love what you just said, that you're not there. I'm not there. We are always on the path. We go deeper and deeper and deeper. This is a road to mastery. This is personal mastery. This is not no 5-step program success. Like, this is not what we do, and this is not the game that we're playing. It's not that. And I love also what you say. It's like a mixture. Really, though, exactly. I'm glad I'm kind of answering that question, because it's helped me make sure I'm doing something right to make sure we're doing the right thing, but kind of saying the right thing. It's a mixture of transformative coaching, evidence-based science, which you bring a lot to the table on that as well, and then the philosophy part of it, and bringing that all together. It's just not it's just not a bunch of coaches. It's more like the structure behind it. Amazing. So I've got a couple of questions.
I guess I can talk from experience. Sorry, I cut you off. It's just everything that I say or I kind of help others with, I'm doing myself. So I'm testing it. I'm trialing it out. I'm seeing if it's working for me, and it's not going to work for everyone, but there's certain things that have been trialed out within my own life to really talk from a little bit of experience and see how it's helped me and how it's not. And I think that was so important for me too. But yeah, just to stop cutting you off.
Right, no worries. I've got one more question before we leave, and a couple of things, probably another 5 minutes or so. But Such has asked a question which I want to bring to the table, and I think it'd be great for you to answer this if you can. He's asking you talk about being more conscious. What do you do to be more conscious, or how do you raise your conscious awareness, or level of awareness, I guess?
Really good question. I can go to quite a few things, but the main things I can say I do, which raises that, is one thing which been a game changer. We can talk about the normal stuff, meditation, etc., but the main thing that has been a game changer for me is stillness. I do not like to just sit. I'm quite a go person, and for sure not just sit and sit with my thoughts. It's not really something that I would have done for sure before. And over, I guess, the last couple months, even more, I've kind of been taking that time to be still. And whether that means 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but in whatever time in the day that you feel. So I kind of do it in the evenings. And it's literally 10, 15 minutes of just being still and doing nothing and just observing my thoughts and the thoughts I get from there. And when I really slow down to it and kind of write them down in terms of what I was thinking in that 10 minutes and 15 minutes, 10 minutes, it's just writing it down. I'm aiming to raise my consciousness, because those thoughts are just coming. They're just there. They're not really like my thinking as such. It's just there, something. It's the thoughts that just come. And once I really realized what I was continually thinking about, or like my thoughts were, I was able to raise my consciousness, because I could kind of see a pattern kind of building up of whatever it was. And that raises my consciousness, because I could observe and think, okay, now what can I do? Sometimes you don't have to do anything about it. It's just the thing. But I just realized where my thoughts were kind of going. And also another thing is, in the day, what I do is I check in with myself. And in a busy environment of the NHS hospital, I think it's really difficult, and I have to put alarms on my phone. Otherwise, I pretty much don't do it. But I spend twice a day within the hours I'm at work for literally 30 seconds just to check in with myself and realize what am I feeling. Is like literally physically, is my heart racing? Am I a bit nervous about, I don't know, whatever it is, or a bit anxious about something? And what are my thoughts in that moment? And I realize, to raise my consciousness at that time, I'm not really present. I'm thinking about the meeting before, the meeting I'm going to do, or the patient before, patient, like I'm not really present. And that's kind of raised my consciousness to really check in with myself. So those two things I implement daily, just to raise my consciousness, for sure. And it's helped me. So let me know how you go if you try it out.
Yeah, love that. I think it's all related back to slowing down our minds, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's no one answer to it. One person can walk, one person can meditate, one person can journal. It's more like anything that helps you to really slow down your mind and separate yourself from your own thinking and create that space between you and your thoughts.
And you just see what's kind of cropping up. But yeah.
All right. I know we're kind of at an hour, but I just want to spend another 5 minutes, and then we'll probably call it, because I want to respect everyone's time, and I want to respect your time as well. I guess one of the second last question is, you've obviously, when you first started working on you and being part of this journey and being part of the community, you obviously made an investment of your time, energy, money. You've even like upped your game this year because you invested in working me one-to-one as an apprenticeship and combat training and all that kind of stuff. That was even a big step up for you, like big step, big decision. And it wasn't an easy decision for you. No. What was going through your mind?
Forever.
Sorry?
Took me forever.
Yeah, but like what, and I'm just curious, like what was going through, because this to invest time, energy, money into, whether it be a small program, whether it be a very kind of minimal time, or whether it be something that you're doing now with me, which is more time and energy and investment in terms of money as well. Like, what was going through your mind, either, even this year, for example, like what was going through your mind this year, or even last 2 years, before you kind of, because when it comes down to this work, your commitment is the payment, really. Like, if I'm really like, this is the work, the payment is really for you as to the level you're showing up as. Two things with this: how did you feel before that, and now that you've done it, what kind of level are you showing up as?
Yeah.
What's changed?
So before, it took me forever to like decide what I was going to do. And I think the main thoughts that came out for me was, who spends money on this? Like, legitly, like, I do not know anyone personally that does, like, generally with my family, friends, etc., who spends money on this, because we're so used to spending money elsewhere on different other things. Who spends money on themselves like this? And really, I'm used to spending money on something that is like they're physically there in front of my face, and this wasn't. This was something to do with internal work that it's not a physical thing. So for me, that was so difficult. I haven't done it. It's not what society was saying that was normal, or what my friends or family was. And like, what would someone think? Like, I spent this on this, like, and again, it comes back to realizing that it wouldn't have been any other way, because internally it's changed so much for me. But I think that really was a doubt. And second of all was, could I really commit? Was I ready to commit? Like, if I'm putting down money on the table, am I gonna commit to it? Like, I better bloody commit to it. And if I don't, bloody hell, I would feel so shit, literally.
Well,
Like if I
I
didn't
wouldn't
commit
even
to
talk
that,
anymore if you weren't ready to commit. Like, it
that's
would.
what I mean. Like I wouldn't, it makes you commit in a weird way. And I think now you say afterwards, it makes you, I was committed, but then it makes me commit even more. And that's a game changer. It puts something, a value there that I'm ready to play this long-term game. Like it puts onus on myself. And that is what it is. It's a level that I come at, is a level that is going to come at me. And that's the way it is. If once I had that, I felt like I was even more I was committed once I decided, but that made me like, okay, do you know what? I need to show up. Like I need to be committed. I need to be better. Like, and then yeah, so there was the two doubts for me for sure, because I don't know anyone else that had and we're all committed to such things, but it's all, we all have our own experience, and what everyone gains is sometimes not the value of the money, it's what you gain is separate. And externally it might be like someone only gained this much or someone gained this much, but to each individual it's different.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were the two things. And now yeah, I definitely wouldn't have changed it and had it any other way. I just took a while to figure out and sit with those thoughts that I yeah, that was probably in me from everything that I've just explained. So yeah.
Love it. And the level you're showing up now, and even obviously knowing you through this journey, like this year, you've turned pro.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
You have turned pro this year, and yeah, I respect you for that, and it's amazing. It is absolutely, I love that, and yeah, just on the point, like no one has a budget for this to invest in themselves. We have budgets to go on holidays.
Yeah.
We've got budgets to spend on X, Y, and Z. Yet no one really, we both spend money, on academic education. We don't even question that. Right, we don't question going,
We question this, like, yeah.
£40,000. Yet we don't. Yet we question spending money on our own personal growth, which is probably more valuable
Yeah.
than our academic education. And I was like this when I first started. Like, I didn't really think, I didn't invest initially into myself as much as obviously now. Like, and obviously, especially if you're a business owner watching this, and generally, even if you have your career and if you're working, like, you are your biggest asset. Whether you're a business owner, you are your biggest asset. At the same time, your business is just a reflection of you. At the same time, in a career, you get paid for the value you bring to the marketplace. You don't get paid for your time. And none of us get paid for our degrees. Like, people think they got a degree, so they're going to get paid. No, like we've seen where COVID is right now. If the economic situation, people can get rid of you like that. And so you're going to get paid for the value that you bring to the marketplace. You're going to so if you're going to get paid to be more valuable, and your relationships if you work on yourself, if you develop that value within you, if you become more valuable, if you develop the ability to connect with people and develop better relationships, anything is possible.
Yeah. And
And
you
again,
literally put the nail on the head there. It's the value you bring, and you get that value from working on yourself. And yeah.
Amazing. And yeah, like I've probably I've spent more money on my own development now than I have on my degree. And sometimes we think, oh, yeah, the degree it took 4 years to do, and you get a career. Like, with this is unlimited.
Yeah.
It's unlimited.
It's because you don't, like, with the degree, you see, like, again, it's probably that attachment, like you see that certificate at the end or whatever it is, and then it's like, okay, you've got it, you've got those things. And with this, it's not like that. So it seems as if it's not some valuable in its own way, but really that's the separation I had to kind of make. And it was
cool. Awesome. All right, cool. So there's a couple of things I want to say before we close. For those of you who want to know more about Ginal and reach out to her, feel free to do so and ask her questions. Those of you who will be joining Project Kriya from 2021, you'll be seeing way more of Ginal. So looking forward to that.
Yes, exciting
Um,
times.
if you want to know more about kind of what we've discussed today, we're hosting a free workshop on the 24th of November. That's a Tuesday. So if you're interested in that, reach out to one of us. I can once the details are ready, it'll probably be ready next week. We can send that to you to register for that. But otherwise, look, I just want to acknowledge you for being someone who I think and I've said this before, but trusting me with this work, trusting the journey, trusting the process. You really just playing full out, and you're someone who just takes action, and you just listen, and you develop the we coach, we do the mastermind or whatever, and you go out there and do it, and you play the long-term game. You're someone who very rarely do you get thrown off the path, but when you have done, you've come back on and you just continue focusing long term. And so the work that you do at with our group and Thriving Scholar at the moment, like, people have loved it. You're already doing so much amazing work. So I just want to acknowledge you, and it's been an honor to really not just be your coach in this, but more just as a friend and as someone who is, because we work in partnership essentially over the last 2 years. And so I just want to really respect you for that. Really I'm humbled by what you've kind of said about Thriving Scholar essentially, and it's amazing to see, and I'm super excited for in the future with the work that you're going to do with us, and super excited for that.
No, thank you so much, because it literally wouldn't be possible without your support and everything that you bring to the table. And I know I always say it's the level that I play at is what you get, but really it's also about other factors, that the tools that you helped and the tools that you've shown me. And yeah, I'm so excited for the future. I'm so excited for next year and the end of this year. There's so much more to come. So yeah, really excited.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone that have joined live. It's great to have you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Yeah, thanks for joining live. And I'd love to know what's been the kind of key takeaway that you've taken from this live. I'd love you to kind of type that below and just kind of share your key insights, share what really resonated with you, share what didn't resonate with you, but it's all good. But yeah, awesome. Thanks Ginal, for being here.
Amazing. Thank you for letting me be here.
All right, guys, we'll see you soon in another live, in another interview, or all the stuff that we're doing in this group. So stay tuned.
Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
Bye.